What's up, guys? It's Harold from Tampa Boost Performance. Today we got this 2018 ACURA TLX in for some RV6 high flow precats. So first things first, we're going to start off by disconnecting the O2 sensor here on that bank, and then this wire right here, which is another O2 sensor. Alright guys, now that we have our car safely lifted, as you see, this car already has the RV6 J Pipe, and we're going to want to remove this here heat shield. Alright, now that we got that heat shield out of the way, now we can see, at least in the front, we can see our two bolts that go to the J Pipe, and we can see the bracket that will be removing. In the rear, same thing. It's 3 nuts, and this right here, this bracket, will be removed as well. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to try to do here is loosen up our J Pipe. Just loosen up all the mounting on it, like here, and disconnect our O2 sensor here, just to get enough room to kind of wiggle out those two precats. So instead of just loosening it, I ended up just removing the whole thing just for a little bit more room. Here's that bracket that I was telling you about. So these back here are 13s on the exhaust and on the support bracket here. These guys up here are 14s, and I just loosened it, swung it out of the way. This EGR pipe has 2 nuts on it. Now that's a little bit of a tough spot, so using a ratcheting wrench is going to make this a lot easier. So I found myself having a little bit of issue even with a ratcheting wrench on this particular bolt right here on the EGR. So what I did is I removed the radiator drain panel, and I put my extension with a swivel, and that worked out great. So the next thing I'm going to do here is just remove this postcat O2, since I can reach it, and pretty much everything's ready to go. Then we can lower the car back down and then just work on the top. Alright, so now we're back top side. Here's a little tip for this connector right here. It has another tab right here that goes onto this metal bracket. So this, when you take off, you disconnect that connector, it'll be just like that, fixed in position. So don't go on prying on that. Just reach around the side over here, and you'll feel a little tab. Push that guy in and push down. Pops off. You don't break it. So we've lowered the car. Now we can loosen these 2 bolts right here, which is the other end of that pipe that we were just loosening on the bottom, and that is pretty much the last bit of stuff that's attached to it, and then we can attack the actual studs that hold it onto the block. Okay, so ended up having to remove this here cooling fan, and now we should in theory be able to get this thing right out without a problem. Just gonna be careful not to hit the radiator. And it looks like we're gonna have to remove this little bracket right here just so we can be really sure that we're not gonna hit anything like the radiator. Alright, now that we moved that bracket that was right here, let's see if we can do this now. Okay, now without, shouldn't get too close to anything, and it looks like we're still hitting, so I'm just going to keep moving stuff until we've got good clearance here, because I do not want to damage this radiator. Alright, so Could easily remove the studs, but I think this way we should have enough clearance now. Yep, like a glove.
Wow.
For the rear, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more work. It's a little bit of a tighter spot, but I'm pretty sure it should just come right out the top. Probably going to have to remove this strut brace and remove some of the bolts that hold on some of these wires just to get enough clearance, similar to what we did here. This is a heat shield that is on the CV axle for the passenger side. I removed that to gain more access, and I also loosened, there's a heat shield on top of the steering rack that's held on by a 10 mil. It's right there, give or take. That also helped me pull the pre-cat out and rotate it. So as you can see, the flange is facing the firewall now. So now that it's out to that point, now we can go ahead and remove this heat shield right here that protects the coil packs, kind of like we did with the front. And that should, in theory, give us enough room to wiggle it out through this corner right here. So I'm going to do that now. Alright guys, so now we're under the car again. We're just going to finish buttoning everything up, installing all the brackets that go onto the pre-cats and a couple of heat shields and stuff, and that's pretty much it.